Hey guys, I'm back. This is Victoria from Fancy's Fine Arts. And today I'm going to show you part 2 of how to really learn how to crochet. So what I have in front of me are the basics of what you're going to need. Actually, they're not even the basics. This is all you're going to need. Crocheting is super cool. You can make literally whatever you want once you learn how to read a pattern. And I'm going to help you guys to do that today. In fact, I started coming up with patterns on my own because sometimes what you come up with is better than what you find and on the internet, and sometimes it's easier to understand something when you created it instead of somebody else. So what you're going to need basically is yarn of any kind. Right here I have Sugar and Cream 100% cotton in the color Psychedelic. It's lovely. It's all tie-dye and pretty. And that's just a really cool yarn I found. I've been loving cotton lately, as I said in my first video. Then what I'd love to talk about is these great pair of scissors I found. They are from this brand, Fiskars. And I found them in the sewing section of Michael's. They were originally $8.99, but I got them for something because they had like a 50% off coupon. These are for sewing, and they are good for fabrics, but they are fantastic scissors. Like, they cut anything like right away. Yeah, I would totally recommend them. Scissors are super important. It makes things so much easier. And they give you clean edges instead of frayed ones. Right here, I just have my standard 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. Nice and fancy red. And then this is super important, this little guy. This is a needle. It's not sharp. It's a blunt-ended needle to finish off your crochet project. At the end, I'll show you guys how to tuck in little edges, the pieces of string that hang off for your crochet project, and this will clean up the project and make sure that it lasts much, much longer, and I can show you a cool technique for that in another video. So yeah, check that out too. I'll make that today also. Alright, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to show you guys is how to start off a slip knot. So we're going to take our yarn here. We have the end here. And on this side, we have the working yarn. This side is attached to the ball, so I'm going to keep the ball on that side just so you guys can see. Back it up a little. Now, I'm going to move my stuff out of the way so you can see easier. And I'm just going to keep my crochet hook on hand here. What you're going to do is lay out the string in front of you and make a loop. Just go around, make a nice little loop. There we go. We have a loop. Now what you're going to do is pick up the loop you made, okay, with this part of, okay, you have this part of yarn coming from the ball, and it wraps around up that way and over the front. So I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. We have a loop. Again, it goes that way and over. Now you're going to tuck this bottom, okay, we still have the loop here. Tuck this bottom thread under the loop so it looks like that. Again, we had the loop like this with this piece over. Okay, now you just tuck it behind your loop and just hold it like that. Now what you're going to do is take this piece on the inside, this thread on in the middle of your loop, and hold that. So you're just going to hold it. Don't pull this all the way through. Now what you're going to do is hold on to this empty thread and the thread connected to your yarn ball. Hold on to both of those ends. And you're going to just pull this loop until you get a nice slip knot. And that's it. That's your slip knot, guys. Now what you're going to do from here is you're going to pop your crochet hook into the loop and pull on either thread. Mine's not the long thread, mine is the short one this time, and you pull on either side of the thread that makes it a tight loop on your hook. So that's the basics. Now I'm going to show you guys the first thing you're going to need to know for any pattern or starting off any project. You're going to need to know how to chain. Chain is abbreviated with a CH in all crochet patterns. And a chain is really simple. You're going to take the yarn from your ball coming from this side. Remember, this side is the side with the ball in the camera is going to be the side where the yarn's coming from. So this is just like our empty tail here, and I'm going to leave that off to the side. You're going to take this is called the working yarn. The yarn that's attached to the ball is called the working yarn. And you're going to hold your loop with your index finger nice on the hook so it stays in place while you do this. Hold it, take your working yarn, wrap it behind the back and over the front. There we go. Again, take your working yarn, wrap it behind the back, over the front. Okay, here we go. There. Now, I like to hold on to, now you're going to pull this loop over the one we just made. So, I like to do it this way. But you can literally take your hand and pull the hoop over if you want. That's what I did the first couple years I learned. And see that nice V we have here? I'm going to point this out really quick. I'm going to pull my hook out. You have a nice V shape. It goes down and up. Down and up. That's your first chain. Wherever you have those V's, you'll see we're always counting V's when we crochet. So that was chain 1. Now, chain 2, we wrap around the back and pull that loop through our previous loop. Now you'll see we have 2 V's now. Can you guys see? One on top and one on bottom. Now I'm going to chain 10 and then I'm going to show you guys how to make sure you have 10. Okay, ready? So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, to stop any crochet project, you're going to pull on that loop and take your hook out. That's how you can not get lost in where you left off. So now we're going to look at the front of our chain here. So it's this pretty V shape. I want to make bracelets out of this. I think just a chain bracelet would be super pretty. So you can see we have all these V's up the front. You know that this is the front of the chain because the back looks weird. The back of your chain looks like this. It has little like loops going through the middle. That's how you know that's the back of your chain, and that's not what we work with. So flip it over and we have lovely V's for Victoria, which is me. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Alright, so you can lay this out and I'm going to show you guys how to count your V's to make sure you have the right number of chain here. So starting from the bottom there, we have 1 V, 2 V's, 3 V's, 4 V's, 5 V's, 6 V's, 7 V's, 8 V's, 9 V's, and 10 V's. We're doing great. So now that you have your chain 10, you're going to put your hook in and pull up. That's how you can get back into your crocheting. If you want to take a break after you make your chain, that's totally fine. Just remember to always go like this so you don't lose your place. And then pop it back in and tighten when you want to go back to crocheting. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to show you guys how to single crochet. Now I like to hold this yarn in my whole hand. I hold it all in my hand, basically like a fist. So I hold that, and then I kind of take these, my index and my thumb, and hold what I'm working on relatively snug. I wouldn't say tight, but snug, so you can see what loop to go in, stuff like that. So what you're going to hold your yarn in your 3 other fingers, and then snugly hold your thing. And then I like flip it around a little. Then I put the yarn behind my index finger and hold the crochet chains with my thumb and index finger. And now you're going to go into your first stitch. So let me show you guys. We don't go into this one. That's our 10th chain. We're not going into there. It's not happening. You won't be a happy camper if you go into there. You go into the second one, which is right here. You'll get used to that. So pop that in, tighten up, and not into this first thing there, but we're going to go into this nice one. So you go in, this is how to single crochet. We go into that loop. So now we have something that looks like this. Now we're going to yarn over. That just means literally take the yarn and pull it over your hook towards you. Okay? Now we're going to hold everything nice and snug like we did before and pull this, only the first loop, over the loop over the yarn. So only the first loop goes over the yarn. Now we have 2 nice loops on our hook. Now we're going to yarn over, coming from the back, coming toward us. And we have 2 loops. Now you're going to go through both of the loops. Pull your yarn through both of your loops. And that's your first crochet. Single crochet. I'd like to make the point that a single crochet is always abbreviated with an SC. Any pattern you see, single crochet is SC. Okay, now we're going to move on to our next crochet. Now this might look a little funny, but if you guys can see, this crochet is in this loop. Now our next loop is going to be this one right here, where you can comfortably fit your crochet hook in. So we're going to go in, and I'm going to do this kind of loosely so you guys can see what I'm doing. So we're going to go in here, go in, okay, now same as before. We yarn over, pull the yarn through only the first loop, yarn over, and pull it through 2 loops. There we go, we got our second crochet. Now you guys can watch me, I'll talk you through the rest, but I'm going to do them a little bit faster. If you need to rewind and keep learning what I just did, then rewind and do that now. I'm going into the next chain. I'm yarning over, pulling through 1 loop, yarning over, pulling through 2 loops. Okay, here we go. Into the next chain we go. Yarn over, pull the yarn through 1 loop, yarn over, pull the yarn through 2. Now I'm going to keep going. Into the chain, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, now we pull through 2. Into the chain, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Into the chain, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Into the chain, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're at our last one here. This is our last chain right here. So we're going to go in. Oh, I slipped. Go in. Okay, now we yarn over. Pull through 1 loop. That one might be tight, your last chain. That's okay. And now yarn over, pull through 2. You guys did it. Remember how I told you just pull out the yarn when you want to take a break? And you can stretch it and make it look all nice. And there we go. We have our foundation chain and we have single crochets on top. Now, to count single crochets, you're going to be counting V's all over again. Now, I'd like to make the point that when we chain 10 on the bottom, now we're going to have 9. Because we use that last chain over here to carry on into our next row. So if you want a crochet project to have a full 10 single crochets up here, you need to do 11 chains on the bottom. Because remember, we skipped that last chain over here. We couldn't get it on the hook. It wouldn't work. So you always have to do 1 more than the number of single crochets you're looking for. So I'll show you guys now. We have 1 V, 2 V's, 3 V's, 4 V's, 5 V's, 6 V's, 7 V's, 8 V's, and 9 V's. Exactly how I told you guys. And see, we have very pretty V's going on right here. Okay. So we're looking good now. Now, if we're going to single crochet the next row, which I'll show you guys, I'll pop my hook into the loop, tighten up, like I told you before, after you want to take a break. Now what you have to do to get to the other side is you have to chain 1 for a single crochet. So we just yarned over and pulled through our loop. That's our chain 1 right here. Okay, now you're going to see something. If you're reading a pattern, it's going to tell you to turn. So that literally means take the bottom of your work over here and turn it around. Okay? Don't worry about anything else, just chain and then turn. So we have something looking like this. Now, since you only chain one